Everything must change.
Straight out University, Big John is the host with the plan. Time to wake the sleeping giant that lives in every man. Forget the ordinary path, that blueprint's outdated. We building legends here, totally self-created. You need the 4 pillars for total fulfillment. Money, muscle, frame in the game, that's the mission. Master your finances, forge your body, your mindset. Level up your influence, make them all respect. Yeah, stop settling for a life that's just a faded dream. Time to build your empire, make your own world shine supreme. This is the goal, let's get to work. Yeah, Straight Out University.
What is good, everybody? What is happening? I hope everybody had a great weekend. We here on Sunday fun day. I have a special guest on. Let's get some things out of the way first. For you ninja watchers, I know we got some people in here already. Do me a favor and smash the like button. It definitely helps us with the algorithm, and also click the YouTube notification bell, so this way you are made aware of anytime we go live and or we drop a new video. All right, check it out. Let me bring up my guest. As you guys well know him, he is Jess from the Unpack Mindset now. And my man, let me bring him up. Jess, my man, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, John? How you doing, man? Doing great. I'm Jess from the Unpack Mindset. Doing good, man. Just trying to endure this heat and trying to get past it. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what winter has. But yeah, let's see. Let's cover these topics. Let's dissect these and see where we go with it, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about some of these things, but I want to put something out here first, because I am curious about this thing of I do this review video, and part of the review video that I get from people, like, people will say, hey, what do you think of this video? I check it out, and at the same time I'm like, I don't know, man. Some of these things you can't help but say, man, this, I kind of feel bad. Like, they'll send me some funny videos, but I feel bad about laughing about these videos, man. So I'm gonna play one of these for you, man. And I just kind of want to catch a heat check for us, and check this out, man. Let's see.
Women from Scotland.
Actually.
Okay, are you 2 whales from Scotland?
I get stuff like this, Jess, and I'm sitting there going, man, I feel kind of bad in a way, and then in another way, I'm kind of like, should I laugh? Like this next video. This is another video, and I was gonna do a video on this. So this is the last video I want to show. And I categorize it as, if you laugh, you're going to hell. So check this out. Man, that's a video theater, I swear, man. I'm like, I shouldn't laugh, but how do you not laugh, right? Like, it's that dark humor. I don't know, man. Is it us? Is that how we are? I don't know, man. I just find that hilarious.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I laugh at all those videos, brother. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm seeking any type of approval from nobody. I see stuff. I call it, it's like, I call a spade a spade. I call a funny video a funny video. That's just me, and maybe that's why we get along. It's just, we just see it for what it is, brother.
Right. I definitely, I agree with you, bro. I just look at that like, man, I'm just not. I don't even know what to think sometimes. Like I said, I almost feel guilty for laughing. I'm like, how do you not laugh at it, right? Like, it kind of cracks me up, man. But one of the things, jumping on topic here, man. The show today is about people that believe bullshit without truly understanding or asking questions about it, because it must be the truth because it's on Facebook or TikTok, and they read the headline as if it were a factual thing. I don't understand why people are doing this everywhere. Like I saw this thing, and I brought it up because it's about Joe Biden. Now, it says here that this is Joe Biden at the age of 30 with his 15-year-old babysitter while still married to his first wife. The babysitter became his second wife when she turned 18 years later. Her name is Jill Biden. You know, I sat there and I thought, you know, that's what the fuck? Obviously that invokes an emotion, right? That invokes an emotion about like, oh man, this, you know, what a scumbag. You know, if that happened, that's kind of a scumbag move. But then you do just this much research in it, and all of a sudden it changes everything because it's not true. And you
Right.
just sit there going, man, you know, it's not good. John, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry, there's a John Avalos in there. That's my kid. He says the audio has an echo. Does it still have an echo? Give me a thumbs up if it doesn't. Give me a thumbs down or yay or nay if it doesn't have an echo. But you know, I don't understand that, Jess, why people just assume something right away. And I should have kept it up because some of the comments were just blazing on this thing. Like, you know, Joe Biden is a pedophile. Joe Biden is this. Joe Biden is that. Why do people do this, man? Why do they just take a headline and just run with it?
Well, you know, the algorithm doesn't have a soul. You know, it's a algorithm incentive, brother. It's designed to do that. You know, they're designed to trigger outrage. They're designed to trigger fear. You know, and they mistake something that's viral for credibility, right? You know, it's an echo chamber, really. That's all it is. You know, the algorithm is designed to do that, right? It's designed to sell products, sell BS, you know, push. It's designed to push whatever it is the individual's looking for. So if you're looking for a honey badger as a pet, you know, you're going to get some weirdos trying to sell you a honey badger from, you know, some third world country or something. You know, I don't know. But what I'm saying is, you know, the algorithm doesn't have a soul, bro. You know, artificial intelligence, it doesn't have a bias, really. It's going to give you what you want, really, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, especially people that aren't as tech savvy when it comes to stuff like that. You know,
right, and you know that's again, you know, part of it is just, you know, so many of the issues that we're having with people just not even thinking, you know. I mean, and it's a damn shame when we think about it, for the simple reason is, you know, it's more how should I put it, it's more common for people not to use common sense now, you know.
well, I'll give you a good example. You ever run into somebody who tries to say, "Oh, you need to check your sources," and then they throw out misinformation?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? You run into that a lot now, where they'll say, "Oh, you know, you have no critical thinking skills. You need to do some research," and then they'll throw their research out there, and it's misinformation. You know what I'm saying? You run into that a lot nowadays. You do,
Right. And you know, and more often than not, right?
right? And you know, a lot of it, in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with, some people say low digital frequency. I feel like it's overstimulation, bro. Like, you get so many different sources, you get so many different media clips, you get so many different people trying to push their own version of a certain situation, whether it's political, whether it's sports, whether it's boxing, you name it.
Right.
You're going to have that low, I call it low digital frequency. Some people call it, you know, overstimulation. I think it's a combination of everything, you know.
And it's weird because like, you try. I'm getting an echo. I think I'm getting an echo. You know, one of the things that I find difficult when I talk to people is because they do have that, and you know, that low frequency thing that you're talking about, where you're sitting there just saying, well, you know, they're making an argument. Just recently, I saw somebody who had a post up, and their post was, thank you, John, I appreciate that. It and just for the audience to know that John is my technical guy, so trying to help me out a little bit. And you know, when I pointed it out that this person had posted something about how Donald Trump had said that he's tired of people belly aching about the prices of things, get over it. This kind of like whole bad thing. And I said, hey man, as much as I would wish that were kind of true, that was accurate, it's not accurate. So what he did was, this person said, hey, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you pointing it out to me. Yeah, you're right. It's not accurate. It's false. It was a false post on his tweet, and or his ex post. And instead of acknowledging it by saying, hey man, check it out, this isn't true, this is false, he just took it off. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you own it and say, hey, look at, wow, I got suckered into this. I posted this thinking this was true. And as I did a little research, it's not true. And I'm going to own that. Instead of that, he just took it off. And I was like, that's the problem, because when we get caught in something that we realize that it's not, we don't admit that, hey, you know what? I myself, man, I get suckered into shit.
It's a good rule. If it's a 15-30 second clip, it's probably not true.
100%. And
if it's a snapshot or a 15 or a 30 second clip, it's probably political.
Mhm.
They're probably trying to sell you on some bullshit. It's got to be something that's maybe long form, where they provide facts, they provide, sources.
Yeah.
And that's my rule of thumb. If I see something, someone sends me something about religion or about politics or about, you name it, riots or protests, and it's a 15-second clip, I just scroll along.
You're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, I got this clip here coming up. This guy, he admits this, and there was a lot of issues about Charlie Kirk that had come out, a lot of things, and this guy admits, like, hey, you know what? I went through this whole process, and he owns it, man. Check this out.
This dude right here is going viral for his Charlie Kirk story, and it's going to be the most shocking thing you hear all day.
I'm actually glad that Charlie Kirk was murdered, but probably not for the reason you think. I was at work when I first found out. A fellow employee had wandered up to me, cell phone in hand, and asked, "Did you hear that Charlie Kirk just got assassinated?" And I, without even a moment's hesitation, responded, "Good! F that Nazi white supremacist piece of shit." I had never before witnessed such a perfectly blended expression of disgust, disappointment, sadness, and surprise, all through the window of another man's eyes, or experienced a silence so uncomfortable as the one that followed. And although that look on his face now haunts me more and more with each passing day, at the time, it only made me distrustful and upset. But little did I know that the sentence which followed would end up becoming the most profoundly psychologically impactful question that I've ever been confronted with. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I decided to end the conversation immediately. This man was clearly a lost cause, one of those intellectually dishonest Kool-Aid drinking types who refuses to engage in good faith with any perspective which contradicts their outstandingly narrow and propagandized worldview. And by this man, I mean me. Because I hadn't actually watched any of his debates. I was basing literally every single thing I believe about a human being, with thousands of hours worth of publicly available recordings of himself openly expressing his opinions, on a small handful of out-of-context clips that had been curated for me by algorithms and media organizations being funded by the political opposition. I foamed at the mouth, right along with the rest of those rabid and bloodthirsty dogs, gleefully mocking those who had been saddened by his death and downplaying the atrocity of it all by suggesting that political violence is just an unfortunate yet necessary step toward our coveted socialist revolution. That is, until I began to notice a common thread. The exact same comment being repeated ad nauseum in nearly every single online space. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I didn't think much of it at first. Of course, right-wingers are all regurgitating the exact same talking point. They're in a cult. They're brainwashed. It was an ordinary and boring morning on the day I found out that I am a monster. In that moment where my curiosity got the best of me and I decided to click on some random YouTube thumbnail of Charlie Kirk with his goofy and gummy smile in an attempt to reaffirm my preconceived biases. And it was an unusually stressful afternoon on that very same day when I spoke to my father for the first time in years, despite the fact that he had always loved and supported me unconditionally. And it was a never-ending sleepless night, coming to terms with the fact that literally every single thing I thought I hated about the right, the bigotry, stupidity, violence, vitriol, and narrow-mindedness, was actually just an outward projection of hatred toward my own self. Charlie Kirk is my hero. He opened my eyes to the cruel and manipulative nature of our political media, brought my family back together, and taught me how to love again. And to anyone who takes issue or offense with that, I'm going to do exactly what he would have done and challenge you to answer a simple, honest, and straightforward question. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates?
Yeah, man. That was
That's
when I
deep.
saw that, that was deep, man. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
looking inward and finding flaw within yourself and your own personal viewpoints and who you are as a person, that's deep, man. That's deep.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
You
Sharon,
know,
girl, how you doing? I'm sorry, I just always give a shout out to my people when they roll in, sharing what's happening.
right, right.
So what do
You
you think, Jess?
well, it's crazy how sometimes we become isolationists to ourselves, and we isolate ourselves from the fear of truth, right? Or from the fear of what the other side has to say. And then sometimes it's methodical and it's diabolical, right? Like, you ever seen that movie Sicario?
Yes.
You ever seen that scene where the Sicario comes and he visits the big enchilada guy, the big dog, and he's sitting down at the table and he's eating dinner with his family?
Yeah.
And man, there's like I don't want to call it a trifecta, but there's the dynamics that are going on in that scene, bro. It gives you it's a good example of where we're at today in society, right? He's telling them you kill families on a daily basis. I'm summarizing, but I'm summarizing what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
And here you are, yet you're here eating with your family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the dude starts talking crap to him, and he's the one holding the gun.
Right.
It goes to show the lengths that people, like what that individual, I don't know what his name is, but it goes to show the lengths of craziness that people will go through to make themselves look good or make themselves look right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without even really taking a bite into the other person's side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And what was crazy about that scene was when he took out his family, it clicked. Like, you could see it in his face, like, oh damn, this is personal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he put him, it almost like he did it so he could put him in his shoes.
Right. Right.
So it's a dynamic, man. It's a human dynamic that we all deal with. People will go through great lengths to make themselves look right and never admit that they're wrong.
100%. And that's that's what I see, like that confident ignorance, and that's exactly what I'm gonna bring up next here. This is a protester who is confident about what she's saying. Now, this has to do with the effects of farming, a particular farming up in Europe, and that's Europe or maybe Australia. So check this video out, man. This is people who are protesters, and they're kind of trying to grill the farmers on what they know and how confident they are about this. Check this out.
And it immediately backfired.
You're wearing a belt. Is that belt from leather or is that an artificial?
Yeah, it's vegan leather, yeah.
Okay, but it's leather.
Yeah, it's not someone's skin.
So it's actually an artificial product.
Yes.
That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, no one was shot in the head for my belt. Vegan leather, so it's a synthetic material, and no one was shot in the head.
So
and
that
it's
bit
not
of
someone
synthetic
else's skin.
material you've got, that produced as much CO2 as driving my car from here to Darwin.
Can I see the scientific resource?
Go to WHO, the United Nations WHO website. That will actually show you that for every 500 grams of synthetic material created, it uses as much CO2 as driving 2,000 kilometers.
She asked for.
See what I mean? Not knowing, but yet being so confident about what she knows that she's ignorant about it. And yet still, even when she asked for the facts and he gave her the facts, there was her not backing off on her position at all, even though she was dead wrong. That's crazy to me. That's wild, man. That's some wild shit.
Yeah, it's and it's hard, right? Because people are fed so much trash, so much what do you call it? AI garbage.
Right.
They go around believing this stuff, man. And I was listening to Joe Rogan talk about an individual that was like this environmentalist last night, and he had this psychological condition where his need for environmental control or stability or whatever, global warming, he became infatuated with it, right? He became infatuated, and he met this person online, and he developed a relationship with this person. This is a crazy story, but he was like, this is the only person that identifies with me in this world. She totally gets it. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Eventually, that person tells him to kill himself, and he offs himself. Come to find out, it was a bot. Dude developed a relationship with a bot.
Yeah, that's nutty, man.
That's wild, bro. That's wild.
Do you remember a program called Catfish on MTV?
Yes.
And it's people who just con other people into believing that they are somebody differently than what they are. And it's just like,
right.
You know, but that goes to us not having the ability to use forward thinking and not even questioning what's around us and what's surrounding us. Like, we don't question anything anymore. It's crazy. People are, I mean, and for the lack of a better word, you know, people have just, I feel that people have just become dumber. And
right.
They just don't use any of that common sense. But, you know, and it kind of segues into this new thing about how, you know, men, there's a, God, I wish I remember the exact quote. There's a quote in The Godfather that the Don tells Michael Corleone, only women and children can be silly because life doesn't allow men that opportunity, because we have to be on point. And those are, you know, that's to me, I was like, you know what, that guy's right. I mean, that's right, what was on there. And that's a fail from the system. And that's why I say it segues into this next thing, which is why are boys and men failing or falling behind in life today? And here's this video now. This video is a little bit it's a little long, but if you bear with it, it does say a lot as far as, you know, saying why we're failing. So check this out.
Are failing. The data has been saying it for decades. In 1970, men earned 60% of all college degrees. Today, women earn 60%. The reversal happened in one generation. Women now outnumber men on college campuses by 2.4 million students. Girls outperform boys in reading in every single state in America. In 10 states, girls are more than a full grade level ahead. 2/3 of special education students are boys. 72% of all school suspensions and expulsions are boys. Boys are twice as likely to be diagnosed with ADHD. This is not one problem. This is a pattern. And the pattern has been building for decades. Here is the most alarming part. The data has been available for years. Researchers have been publishing it. The numbers have been getting worse, and the policy has not changed. The conversation exists. The books have been written. The research has been published, and boys are still falling further behind every year. This conversation gets complicated because people hear boys falling behind and assume the argument is that girls should fall behind too. That is not the argument. The argument is that a system producing these numbers is failing half the children inside it, and that is worth saying clearly. These boys become husbands, fathers, friends, members of communities. A generation of boys who feel incapable and disconnected is not good for boys. It is not good for anyone. Decades of neuroscience confirm that boys and girls develop differently. They process language differently, they process emotion differently, they process stress differently, they process motivation differently. And the modern classroom asks every student to sit still, stay quiet, stay organized for hours. That model works better for some children than others. When a boy cannot do it, we do not change the model. We give the boy a diagnosis. Boys are diagnosed with ADHD at twice the rate of girls, not because twice as many boys have ADHD, because the classroom was not designed for how they move, how they think, or how they learn. And we called the mismatch a disorder. Men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. Men are 10 percentage points less likely to access mental health care. 15% of young men today say they have no close friend. That is a 5-fold increase since 1990. A boy who cannot read proficiently, who was suspended from school, who is diagnosed rather than understood, who arrives at adulthood without a degree or a friend, does not disappear. He becomes a statistic in a different column, and we keep being surprised by that column. This is not about boys versus girls. The data on girls is also real. Both things can be true simultaneously. But right now, one of those things is not being said. The same research that documented what children need to develop capability also documented that boys need more of it. More unsupervised time, more physical movement, more risk, more self-directed challenge. The things we removed from childhood hit boys first and hardest. We built a system that works for half the children in it. Boys?
You know, as a coach, and I know that you know this, as a coach, there are different kinds of players. You can challenge players directly. Some you have to coddle. Some you can be rougher or gruffer with. And then there's some that you kind of got to like motivate and constantly be that, that clapping cheerleader, rah person for them, because you got to get them in a certain sort of headspace. And that is true about boys. And I've said this for years, that the system is not built with boys' rambunctiousness in mind. So when you're asked to sit there and sit quietly with your hands, hold your own hands, that's not what boys do. Boys need to be out in a jungle gym. I mean, my boys, I would make these special assignments for them, and I would say, okay, the grass is lava. You have to get on the, on the fence and go around the fence and do it. And they love that. They love that thing. But it was physically challenging. But that's what you got to do with boys. Boys and girls are different, man. And that's why I think that young men today, and this is why Str8out University exists, because we have to be able to tell young men how to become men, because it's our responsibility as men to look out for men, because no one else is looking out for them. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, man, I feel like when there's no roadmap, man, men go adrift. Role models, right? I feel like the role models collapsed before the system, even though the system's changed. I feel like there was a collapse in role models for younger men to follow, man. And for decades, right? It's men became more focused on social media. It's almost as if between social media and the systems, right? The school systems, maybe, I don't know, my politics might be slightly involved in it. And, I feel like somewhere down the line, men lost a clear path, right? A clear path into adulthood. And, they chose isolation, right? They chose different paths that were not normal. They were not normal steps, in my opinion, to create new men, right? To create some type of path. It's a big dish you're asking here, but I feel like we always want to go to systems, right? We always want to go to systems, and we always want to blame the school system. We want to blame the jobs out there, the job market. We always want to, refer to different things outside of the core family structure. So I feel like role models are important, right? For myself, like as a coach, you got a team of 16 players, right? And I always took those Marine Corps leadership traits with me, no matter where I went, whether it was at work, whether it was coaching. And you look for that weakest link on the team, right? But instead of taking him out of the picture, you take the whole team and they boost him up. The whole team, when you boost the weakest link on the team and you put him in a position where he has to come out of that, he has to break out of that shell, where he has to be like, because believe it or not, a lot of times when you come across young men who've got a pattern of always kind of falling into that weakest link, I guess, mode that they're locked into, when they got a bunch of other men behind them, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what's lying in them, right? That potential that's in them. And believe it or not, I've had players that were considered the weakest link become one of the best players on the team. And it's because you got a whole team, you got a whole squad that's getting behind them and saying, hell no, you're on our squad. You're going to perform. We're going to get the best out of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes a great team, man. That's what makes a great team. I feel like coaches that know how to foster team identity amongst the men on the team.
Yeah.
They foster a winning environment, bro. A winning environment.
Yeah,
where,
and you're right, and I think that you hit on it. And Sharon actually points this out also. There is a lot of young men that may not have a role model, a male role model in the house, and they do get that from the coach, and and the coach, such as yourself, who has a great wherewithal about what's happening around him, is like, hey, we're going to build this team around the weakest link because we want the weakest link to be the strongest person. And that's a great way to approach it. And a lot of coaches may or may not have that ability, but coaches in general do, because they're trying to put the best team out on the field and make everybody a better player in person. I get that.
And your best players, you get them to fill a role model, not just a leadership position, but a role model position.
Yes.
So you pull your two aces, right? You pull your 3, your 2, your 4 aces, and you say, you guys, I don't want you guys putting down any of the players on the team. I want you guys building up the team. I want you guys to keep reinforcing what I'm trying to teach is confidence, cohesion, just having a positive attitude, man.
Right.
Having a positive attitude, because I noticed that a lot of times when you got the weakest link when you got a lot of players that have just been beat up by the time they're 17, being told that they're not good, that they're going to fail. And then they come onto a team that's like, no, that shit don't fly around here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
like you're here for a reason, man. And we believe in you.
Definitely.
We believe in you, man. And regardless if you fail, you're going to embrace it on this team, because you're going to fail a million times before the first game.
And a lot of problems that I see now, here's where I get into, like, not having a father in the home is problematic too, because a lot of kids are raised, especially in economically challenged neighborhoods that you work in. Disadvantaged neighborhoods that way are predominantly without males in the household, and that fosters a lot of you ain't shit kind of attitudes, because think about it, mom and the aunt and all the other single girls in the house are all talking about how men ain't shit. So what does that young man hear? Men ain't shit, men ain't shit. And that's problematic, man.
When the hardest thing is, when I was a young corrections officer, I didn't really fully grasp that dynamic, man. Because I've soon realized that identity is taught, bro. Identity is passed down, and when that identity isn't taught, guess what happens? That young man has to go out there and discover something,
right?
And a lot of times he's gonna fall into a lot of pits, man. And they're gonna meet the wrong people, and they're gonna probably meet other men who were never raised by men.
Yes.
And one thing I'll tell you, and this is not to talk bad or disparage, because there's a lot of good men that did time, and they got out, they became successful. But one thing I do notice about a lot of the incarcerated population is the men are very, very emotional.
Yes.
They're very emotionally immature. They don't have breaks, bro. Like, they get mad and it's either extreme anger or extreme depression. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. You get men who are just very, very emotional.
Yes.
Very emotional, and everything is an emotionally based. There's a pattern there where they make decisions based on emotions.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think? I mean, in the incarceration rate of men that are violent in nature is some astronomical number. I want to say, now I'm going to say it, and I have some of the research on there, and I just went over it briefly. I want to say like 80% of violent criminals in jail today come from single mother households.
I believe that.
And
Yeah.
that's because Jordan Peterson said this a long time ago. And he said that, men should learn to be violent. Men should learn to be men should have to be violent and learn to be violent and learn to understand what that means, and then learn how to control that violentness, because that's what makes our society successful, because you have a lot of very controlled men who can be very violent. That's what controls the violent, emotional men, because men that have their emotions unchecked are violent men. And that's who you see in the jails, because they don't know how to control that. They get to that point of break and then can't pull it back. So they become out of control, and they can't control that violence. That is so problematic by the fact that they did not have a strong male presence in their families. That's why the statistics say such a high rate of men in jail, violent men in jail, come from single mother households. That's a statistic, man. What do you do with that?
Yeah. Well, there's a fine line, right, between violent men and violent gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's a fine line. There's a fine line, right?
Yep.
You can be like, from my experience, man, I'm quiet, believe it or not. Outside of my podcast.
You quiet?
Yeah, outside of my podcast, dude, I keep to myself, bro. I really do. I really do. I feel like you get two types of men in the incarceration population, right? You got your sociopaths and you got your psychopaths. You got two types, right? You got those that are impulsive, they're reckless, they got mood swings, bro. They have mood swings, and they're very emotional. And those guys are your sociopaths. Those guys fall into that sociopath type. And then you got your psychopath, right? Your psychopath, he lacks emotions, bro. Lacks emotions. And if you notice, they're kind of like loners.
Yeah.
Okay. Your psychopaths are loners. They're kind of to themselves, and they don't feel empathy, man. They don't feel empathy. You'd be surprised when you meet some people that are high up there, right? That are high functioning. You got some guys that are a little bit of a sociopath and a psychopath. So that's the guy that'll clean your office, crack a joke, talk about your team, and then 2 hours later he's stabbing somebody on the main yard, gutting them.
Yeah, that's nutty, man.
And when you're, I always tell people like when you see this happening for your first time, and you were having a conversation with that individual like an hour earlier, laughing, just talking, laughing, like we are right now. And then the next minute you see this dude trying to behead somebody.
They're doing some craziness. But you're right. And that's the thing that is so, people don't understand, like the ebbs and flows of like women will talk about this thing. Oh, I'm emotionally high and emotionally low, and I'm up and down and I'm up and down. Yeah, well, so are those men, because they have an ability or not an ability to control that emotion. And that's because we have become fatherless in the home, or don't have an ability. That's something like, look, back in the 60s and 70s and part of the 80s and some of the 90s, we had strong males that were in there. As a matter of fact, the sitcoms that we used to watch had family values. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring this up here, man, because this is a great segue into it. Check this out. This is about having strong male role models in homes. All right, let's check this out. Take a look.
How did a dude like you ever meet my daughter?
Well, I interviewed her while I was doing my research.
Research?
Yes, I'm completing a thesis for my master's.
Thesis? This cat even use short words you don't understand.
It's called Sexual Behavior in the Ghetto.
This?
Yes, I found Thelma to be one of my more interesting subjects.
You wrote about my daughter in this here thing?
She's page 25.
A college thesis can't be dirty, can it?
No, I interviewed a cross-section of ghetto residents and asked them about their sexual behavior.
Yeah, well, it still don't sound like Mother Goose to me. Just tell me one thing, baby. What do it say on page 25?
My interview with Thelma helped to prove a strong theory I have. You see, in broken homes with just one parent, there's a high percentage of loose attitudes towards sex.
Is right, James. That's what Thelma's interview is about. It says so right here. But in homes with a solid family foundation, especially a strong father figure, the incidence of unwanted pregnancies is almost non-existent. You mean page 25 is clean?
Sure. And that's all Thelma's interview is all about.
It makes real nice reading, too. What did you say was the reason for Thelma's low incidence?
Yeah.
Homes with a solid family foundation. No, I mean the part after that. Oh, strong father figures. Yeah. That's the part. Hey, Thelma, what's keeping you, girl? Don't you know your date's out here waiting on you?
You know, that is the sitcoms that we used to watch. I mean, because we had a family intact. We had the nucleus of the family intact. And even other sitcoms, like, I mean, even, and I'm sure, I know I'm dating myself and you, Chico and the Man, you know, when we had a Mexicano that was in there, which was Freddie Prinze, you know, we had a person of Spanish descent and a Spanish name and Spanish speaker who didn't have a father in the program, but he had a strong male role model, which was the garage owner, strong male figure in his life. And even outside, when we had families that were blended, such as the Brady Bunch, okay, I know that was the whitest program ever, but even they had a blended family where they had a strong male figure in the household. Now, even in another show called Different Strokes that had two young black children that were adopted by a white father, was a strong male figure in their life. But we always had that. And that's what I think that we all fed from. Now, think about it, even moving forward to the 80s and the 90s when we had the Huxtables. Remember that? We had the Huxtables, and then the one with that Urkel guy, the guy was a police officer. Right. There was a strong male figure. And even in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there was a, you know, what was it? Phil, you know, Phil was his name. He was a strong male figure. And what did Will Smith, what did his character do? His mother, because he got into a little trouble, sent him to a strong male figure.
Right.
Where we've gone off the edge of the bridge with that now. What do you think?
Oh man, you know, my thoughts are, how do we get back to that, right? You know, this whole I don't need a man generation and I mean, I don't mean to put the blame squarely on women too, because, you know, there's just a lot of men out there that are you know, toxic role players too, right? In this whole thing. And it's just right now we have such an imbalance, right? In that whole family nucleus, that whole family nucleus. And I want to say that there's conventional wisdom here that we've lost, and we need to go back to it. Right? We need to have a balance. To me, it's a balance. Like my wife balances me out all the time. Right? Without her, she's always telling me to calm down. No, that person's not like this. This person's not like that. You need to calm down. You're just always, quick to judge. And so she kind of balances me out in terms of how I perceive certain people. And at the same time, when something breaks in the house, or if there's a little bit of trouble going on, I step in and I deal with it. Right. And I believe that when you have a healthy family household, you got two people there showing the kids, oh, hey, you know what? These people know how to work together. There's some cooperation here, right? Yeah. Which is kind of a segue to what I'm trying to get people to understand is two children. When children see two people come together, they're imperfect, right? Imperfect people coming together, working things out, working together, building a beautiful life, building a beautiful future for their kids. Then they take that and they try to establish something in their lives. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that we got to live vicariously through our kids, but I also feel like they become hardwired to look at the example that you're setting, and they're like, hey, you know what, man, my dad, he's really good at repairing stuff and fixing things and just giving me the realest, coldest advice. Yeah. He just cuts through all the bullshit. He cuts through all the social media. He cuts through all the 30-second clips, and he just tells me, he hands it to me the way it is, and I just run with it, right? Yeah. Like I said, it's something that you have to teach. For me, men have to teach other men how to be men, and when they're left on their own, they got to go discover something, and who knows?
Right. No, like you said, they can create a bad vice, or even young ladies today. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't, not that I'm saying that there's no place for a woman in that environment. Of course, I want to say that when the kids are at the earliest part of their growth, they do need their mother for nurturing, as they get there. But when they start to get to a certain age, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so forth, they need some of the discipline from a father more and more as they get up in age, to the point where, if they don't have a father around, they're making bad decisions. As a matter of fact, here was a question that I thought I ran across this, and I was like, holy shit, this is kind of crazy. They asked young people, would you prefer a strong dad or $1 million? Now, that was the question. Check this out.
To this video.
Would you rather have a strong father in your life or $1 million? $1
million.
And why is that?
Because I love my dad, but no offense, but
Okay.
I need the money. Like,
You would replace your dad for $1 million?
yeah. I'll give him some of the money, he would come back.
No, he's out of the picture. You either get a dad in your life or $1 million.
My mom would be proud of me and we would have money, so I guess money. I love my dad, but
This generation is cooked.
Think about that, man. That young lady right there, she talked about her dad, but I'm sure that there's a lot of things happening in her life that in today's society, young people just do not respect men today. Now, even if that man is their father, they just don't, they've been brought up to believe that men ain't shit. That's all they're told now. Men ain't shit.
Well, it's there's a lot of things that men teach that isn't that's nuanced, right? It's nuanced because it's the It's the things that happen in between the conversations, bro.
Yes.
It's the things that happen when there's no one else around, right? When there's no one else around to witness what you're trying to convey to your children. I mean, for me, it's a social thing, right? Social development, right? It's emotional security, right? Emotional security and emotional regulation, right? Emotional regulation, autonomy, right? Identity, I think it's a long-term thing. You know, it's a long-term thing that you teach your kids, right? Like I don't like to talk about my family, my personal, but I've had talks with my sons before about you know, it's okay to be silly, right? It's okay to make mistakes. Even better, it's okay to laugh at yourself. You know, it's okay, man. It's healthy, right? It's healthy to laugh at yourself when you make mistakes and be like, you know what, I'm gonna knock this one out. Because, like, I'll give you a good example. Today I was helping teaching my brother-in-law how to do front brakes and rotors. Okay, I'm the type of person, bro, that I won't hesitate to help another person, right?
Yes.
But I'm teaching you, bro. You're gonna learn. I'm gonna teach you how to fish. Put it that way. That way you can go get your own fish.
Right.
But if you think that I'm gonna do it while you're sitting inside the air conditioning room and you're watching TV, it ain't gonna happen. Because I'm not teaching you anything, right? And I love my brother-in-law. I love my brothers. I love my kids, but I feel like, you know, like I said, I don't mind doing that, like doing favors, but you're going to be out there in the hot sun and we're going to be busting some bolts.
Yeah.
And I'm going to teach you how to do it. Right. And so today, you know, I thought it was going to be a one and done, bro. I really did. I thought it was going to be a one and done, you know, 2 front brakes, 2 rotors, pads, normal. He pulls up and the lug nuts are all twisted and warped.
Oof.
So I had to get a grinder, man, and cut these things off. And I had to send him to AutoZone to go buy some lug nuts. So whoever did it, whoever had some power tool, they just they forced and they just ruined his lug nuts. But anyway, make a long story short, I laughed about it.
Yeah.
I laughed about it.
But you had the patience and the wherewithal to say, look, I'm going to help you help yourself in the future because I'm going to teach you something. And here's the problem that I think that we have bypassed, because we have attributed to this kind of lost generation by not saying anything and not cooking on some of these people the way we should.
I'm guilty of it, bro. I'm very guilty of it. You know, today, right? And I hate talking about myself, but like today, I did one break. He did another break. That's a success. I saved him $400 or $500. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I saved him money. He has a life skill now. He doesn't have to go pay anybody.
Right.
To do that job. Okay. I do my own tile. I'm doing my own tile right now. You know, apologies to the people that watch my channel. You know what I'm saying? I'm slowing down right now, but I can go spend $20,000 to tile my entire house, or what, $900, $1,000 to do it myself.
Yep.
You know, it's a life skill. It's a financial decision that I make. Can I pay someone to do it? Of course I can.
Yeah. But
that's not what it's about. It's about the pride and the satisfaction that you get, that you fulfill, that you did something, and not only did you add value to your one of your investments, you did it yourself.
100%. Yeah.
Now you can go on vacation with the rest of the money or do whatever. But like I said, it's a life skill, man. It's a life skill.
But you know, we have here's where it draws kind of a bigger problem. And tell me if you don't agree with this or if you disagree with it. You know, today, modern women today in the United States, like they have these guys called passport bros, where they're like, look, women in other countries just respect men differently than they do here in the United States. Now, for the last 70 years, 60, 70 years, we have had a long list of people saying, feminists, saying that men ain't shit. And that has gone all the way down to now where we're at now, which is about 70% of households are by single mothers. And it's that and because we have single mothers, there's a lot of statistics that say, look, this is not good for young men being around women all the time that have an attitude of men ain't shit, men are trash, all this other stuff, because all that does is beat down men. And then they don't want that young man to be around other men who may be strong because they coddle them. So that makes these men emotional, and it makes them grow up and not really truly understand how to control their feelings. So then when they become men, because it's not if life is going to kick you in the nads, it's when life is going to kick you in the nads, because that's going to happen. And and we have so many problems here. And it is true in other countries, they respect men differently. Now let me show you this next clip. Now this is the same question that was asked of teenagers of roughly the same age, young people of roughly the same age. They were from Brazil. Okay, so check this out. Here's the answer to that question for those people from Brazil.
Where are you guys from? Brazil? Nice. Okay, what brings you guys here?
Group trip.
Group trip? Okay, how old are y'all?
14. And she is 15.
Okay, cool.
And I'm 13.
All right, so one question. Would you rather have a good dad, a strong dad, or $1 million?
Vocês queriam ter pai muito forte ou $1 million? Strong dad. Strong dad. Strong dad.
Strong dad? Okay, you all said that. Why? Why is that so important?
Because I think my dad's more important than money. Me too.
Yeah? Okay, give me one reason why your dads are more important than $1 million.
Por que seu pai é mais importante do que o dinheiro? Because he's love of my life.
Oh, wow.
He supports my family.
Me too.
I love my father and my life.
Oh, it's important to have strong dads in the home.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Think about that, man. And Brazil's not exactly, I'm not saying that these kids are rich or famous that way, that they have money where they would look at $1 million and say, well, I don't need it. But think about the respect that they have for their father, that they didn't even think, not for a second, $1 million to replace their father, a strong father, with $1 million. Why do we look at differently from an American young people opposed to people in other countries? Is it the disrespect that we've been given men for the last 60 years?
There comes it's one of those things, man. I forgot what talk show was talking about this a few days ago, and they were talking about TikTok, right? Like you got TikTok and you got other various social media platforms. And they were talking about like how China moderates their social media, their platforms for children. They don't allow them to just go on there and just freelance, man, and just look at whatever they want to look at, because they understand the social impact, right? That's going to happen if they just. I'm sure they're the ones that operate TikTok, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're looking at the social implications that are going on here in the United States, where everyone is just on there, right? It almost seems like social media has become a babysitter.
Oh, definitely.
It's become a babysitter, and I don't know what it is about it, but it irks me, man, when we're out shopping or we're out at a restaurant and you see a family with maybe 5, 4, and the kids are like freaking 5 years old, just doom scrolling in the restaurant.
Yeah.
No conversation, no nothing. They're just sitting there doom scrolling. And the stuff they're looking at is like, wow, you know, are you that? Are you that like not interested in your kids to where you're just letting them doom scroll? That way you can sit there and talk about whatever. I mean, I don't know, man. I always took well, my kids didn't have phones till later, but I always told them to put their phones down. You know, when we're at the table, you know, we need to talk. You know.
Yeah.
Remember, I remember growing up, and every time we were eating dinner or we were at the table, we were all having conversations about what's going on, how's school,
right,
how's work. They hate it, man, but you know, it's one of those things. It's a perfect grill session.
But you know to me, that's a feminist thing to because part of the feminist movement was to destroy the nuclear family. Now that was a manifesto in which they produced that it was part of the feminist movement to destroy that. Now, and I think that they have succeeded for the simple reason is that nowadays we literally have people who are young people that are saying what you just heard. They would give, you know, they don't want a strong father in their life. They'll take $1 million, not understanding anything about the $1 million, but definitely not understanding the outcome of having a strong father. I mean, and it's so prevalent. Check this out. Here's a woman who went to a middle school in a suburban area. I mean, I'm sorry, in a metropolitan area, and she asked 8th graders, you know, what they were looking for. Check this video out.
With 8th grade girls, and I asked them to tell me what their goals were. This one particular young lady said that she wanted to have 2 kids. So I said, so are you going to have a husband? And she said, nope. And I said, please tell me why you would choose in the 8th grade to have a goal of having 2 kids and not be married. She said, because if I'm married to him, I can't collect child support. And then she said, why should I marry a man that I have kids by? He might have issues or something. He might be on drugs. And I said, well, if he's too bad to be your husband, do you really think he's going to make a better father?
That's wild, man.
It's sad, man. You know, but this goes back to what I was saying. There's certain things that we value that go unnoticed and unchecked when a father's around. There's certain things that just can't be repeated, right? Like you can't catch everything. You know, there's I forgot what channel it is or what these guys are always doing like TikToks where the dad's a Gen X and the son is like a Gen Z, and he's always asking his dad questions while he's in the garage. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Who that is, yeah. And
that's me, man. Like I get so frustrated with some of the questions, right? And then I'll just go off on my kids. But it's a rewiring, right? Like sometimes my kids go in there and they've been on social media for like the last 2 or 3 days, and they're coming in here, going into the garage, and they ask me these crazy ass questions, and then I rewire them, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, that was stupid." And then they go back upstairs, and they're like, "Man, like why didn't I think of that?" You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely. I got 2 boys, man, and I've told them ever since they were little, and I'm real about what I say, you know, and when people would say these things, and I'm sure you've gone through this before, where you go to a conference or you go someplace where you have to have a meeting, and then the person, the instructor's all like, hey, you know, everybody ask a question when you haven't asked it. There is no stupid questions. And I'm like, absolutely not. There are some stupid fucking questions, and not everybody needs to be asking these dumbass questions, because it's just an impossibility to sit there and ask a question about something we all just heard, and just because you weren't paying attention, you have to ask the question again. So I used to tell my kids this: if you have a question for me, think about it first. Think about it, say it out loud, and then if it still sounds like a good idea to bring it to me, bring it to me. Because I don't want you to ask me a bunch of dumbass questions that if you answer your own question by asking it out loud, then, you know, don't ask me. And so
Right.
they took that, and, you know, and I know that sounds tough, but I was that way even with people that I worked with. It's like, don't come to me with something stupid. Come to me with something real. And then we'll get to it. But that's part of like this thing about this 8th grader having that thought process about how she is already projecting that this guy is probably going to have a problem. This guy's going to be a bum. But why are you going to give that guy a kid then? That's because you have no guidance of a father in the household and saying, not that guy, not that guy. That guy sounds, because that's what a father does. He's going to vet that man for you, because who knows? Because think about it. You come to the barbecue, right? You know, she brings him over to the barbecue. All the uncles are there, the brothers, the dad. And then we look at them and we say, nope. Or we say, okay, I'm going to give this, you know, we're going to move further. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to catch a feel for him, because see, only guys know what other guys are about, right?
Right.
If that guy's an asshole, we going to find out right now. And then we say, what is your intentions? Right? I mean, and like you said this before, I mean, you're old school this way when you say, hey, you know, strong handshake. You can tell a lot by a strong handshake. You can tell a lot by our conversation. Is this guy a tapao? Is this guy a complete imbecile? Or is this guy got some common sense and got some footing to him? Is he a young man that needs a little bit of guidance, or is he a young man who's on his path and knows where he wants to go? Right? Because that's the guy you want.
Right. Right.
But if you don't have a father in the home, you're going to be making decisions about, oh, well, how do I marry him because I won't get no child support.
Right.
But it's not in the it's not in the concrete jungles either. Okay, because there are places that are not necessarily, because you would think, okay, it must be affected in inner cities only. It's not. It's out up in the places. Here's a woman in Kentucky, okay, who has a mindset of this. Now think about this. She is in Kentucky, which is, I'm not saying Kentucky doesn't have a metropolitan area, but it's mostly a rural area. But here's what they think about men. This is a feminist viewpoint of men in Kentucky. Let me bring this thing up.
First plunge in Kentucky, equal custody for fathers is a big reason why.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to do this thing. What she's talking about in Kentucky, they took out. It's automatically if a man or a woman wants to divorce. So if a woman wants to divorce a man, doesn't want to have that man have the kids. It's not even just in divorce, but just if you have a kid and you don't want to be with that person and you go to court, it's 50-50 custody. There's no fighting. It is 50-50 custody from RIP. All right, let me go back to the start in this video.
Divorce plunged in Kentucky, equal custody for fathers is a big reason why. A law setting 50-50 shared custody as the state standard was hailed as a victory for fathers. But it puts mothers and children at risk. And literally, who knew this? Every fucking mother in the world knew and knows this. You mean to tell me that the same men, these same fathers who refuse to participate in their own homes, who don't know their children's school, who don't know their kids' shoe size, who don't know what size clothes they wear, who don't know if they have any fucking allergies, who don't know their birth dates. You mean to tell me these same dudes are getting 50-50 shared custody? There's a reason it wasn't an automatic given for men to get 50-50 access to their children. And it's because they are not participants. They are passersby in their children's lives. They cannot care for them while they are married to their wives. They cannot care for them after the divorce. That has to be taken into consideration. These men that don't even know their own children, these men that don't know how to raise children because they just defaulted to their wives to do it, are now getting 50-50 custody. And that's going to keep women in marriages that they don't want to be in. That's a forced hand. That's a forced way for marriages from women to stay married to these mediocre, lackluster, defaulter men because they know that their children will be in danger should they ever have to get them without them.
Is that the craziest shit you ever heard, man?
What makes it more crazy is the background. You know, it's like a beautiful home. You know, it's like, oh, she's got a real man there. You know, like she's trying to put, like, I'm curious to know. I really feel bad for whoever's with her. That's all I'm going to say. You know, it's like the background. It's like, oh, it's so homely. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, man, that looks like someone's really taking care of the stuff back there. But, you know, like I said, it goes back to these 30-minute clips, man. you know, these women. She's just a miserable person, and you can see it. You can see it.
All the projection, man. All the projection.
Yeah, it's all projection. It's all just BS. You know what I'm saying? You know what's funny? It's I've had instances where like my daughter's friends come over, and that was like someone got in trouble or someone did something stupid, and I request an explanation, right? And one of her friends will start giving me an explanation, and then my daughter will stop her dead in her tracks. Bitch, you know who you're talking to. Yo, rewind, stop, rewind. You know who you're talking to. Give him the spiel. That's it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, he's coached you before. You know better.
Yeah.
You know better. Yeah. But what it is, you know, you get kids that are just, they don't have that same structure, and they loosen up. But when, you know, I'm happy that my kids recognize that when they get at me, they just got to give me the hard truths, you know, the hard truths, because then that's when you learn how to solve things, problems, and you just deal with things in a more healthier way. You know, it's just it's crazy, right? It's crazy how people want to replace the father.
Right. Like, I mean, but how do you not think that this person is so bad? Because, you know, everything that is said about men and young men is so dreary. Oh, men ain't shit. Men are trash. Men are this. Men are that. Men are, you know, they're pedophiles. They're, you know, they're dangerous. They're this. But this is what I don't understand. When women sit there and say, hey, I walk down the street in fear. I said, oh, okay, you walk down the street in fear. But who are you looking to save you if somebody's attacking you? You're not looking for a gaggle of women. You're looking for a man to step in and to protect you. And because we've been told since birth, man, that we're supposed to be, you know, a protector. We protect women. We do this. We treat them well, blah, blah, blah. But we ain't never, ever, ever. Where have you ever seen a constant reminder of how women are to treat men? Because this feminist ideology by a good portion of single parent households that are women who have bad experiences with men put that projection onto other women and young men that they ain't shit, because there's consequences. Is that not correct? There's consequences by making these kind of crazy decisions, much like that 8th grader was talking about, and much like this woman was talking about. But here is the next step of those kind of crazy ass ideals, and women are now suffering with the consequences of that. Let me bring this video up now. I'm gonna go ahead and play this video, because this is the 100% consequence of having that kind of bullshit ideal. Here we go.
With me, because I really need to know. This is my body. This is my hair. These are my eyes. What's wrong with me? I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. I'm a really good fucking mom. And I have my life together. I have 3 cars, a beautiful house. I live in California. And I still can't find a date. Okay, what?
First off, my impression. Okay, this is my impression of this. Well, first off, you expired. Second, you got 3 kids, and your pool to be able to get from eligible men that you don't want to deal with all of that problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge problem. Well, first off, her herself, been through the streets, and now all of a sudden you want a good, solid, moral man with chivalry, but yet you don't bring that to the table. So you don't qualify for that kind of guy. But yet, you know, all of a sudden it's like, well, I have 3 kids. Well, there's another burner. Okay. That's another situation that, you know, I don't know about you, Jess, but when people come to me and ask me the question, hey, you know, what do you think of What do you think of single mothers? Do you think that, you should date a single mother? And it's like, well, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't believe that a person, a young man who's on the rise should date a single mother, because there's a lot that comes with it. Okay. I mean, much like the Jerry Maguire thing. I don't know if you remember that movie where he says, you don't want to be messing with a single mother unless you're fully committed. I'm not saying that a man who dates or marries a single mother shouldn't, but I'm just saying that, look, if you're a man who's got his shit together, chances are you could find that same person without kids and younger. So why wouldn't you do that? Right? Like, know your value. That's what I put on Str8out University, which is know your value. You're a king or a young king in the making. You don't have to settle for anything that you don't want. That's why you work hard. See, because if you want to attract a good woman, you have to make sure your last name is worth having. And that means that you have to be attractive to that woman. So I think that young women today don't see that as something that disqualifies them. But here's what men think. Check this video out.
A girl and she has a kid. What are you gonna do?
You find a way not to like her anymore.
You're done. Go out. You're out of here.
A man's duty is to create a family, not join an already broken, sinking ship.
If you really like a girl and she has a kid, what are you gonna do?
Find a way not to like her anymore.
I'll be honest with you. Why would a guy want to take that kind of risk? But that's what I say to young men. Look, it's not a bad thing, but it's not the most optimal thing. Because along with being a stepfather, there's a lot of risk involved. There's a lot of time and your resources that are going to be for a child that's not yours and that could be taken from you at any time. You could build a relationship, but it's going to be taken at any time. But I don't understand how women don't even understand how that's not a risk for a man. I don't understand that. I mean, they come out here like, I'm going to take this feminist viewpoint. I'm going to go ahead and be a boss girl, do all this thing. I'm not really going to marry a guy. I'm not saying that woman had 3 different kids from 3 different baby daddies, but that's not an uncommon thing nowadays. And yet here you are, you 36 years old. You got a guy who's an up and coming riser. He's 40 some years old. He's got, he's making $150,000 a year. He's burning the candle at both ends of the sticks. Why would he settle for you and your kids?
What a lot of women don't understand with kids is there's a lot of, you're bringing in more, right? You're bringing in one of the key things for me, I think, is maybe attachment instability. Because you're gonna have some issues when it comes to becoming attached to that child, and then if the estranged father or decides to come around, you're going to have some unstable instability going on right there, man. And it's not something that you can't avoid, right? So you're going to have, man, it's a lot of red flags, John. It really is. There's a lot of things going on, like that girl that you had in the video clip. She's overcompensating, man, with her independence. She values her independence more. She values her cars more. She values what she's wearing more than the nuances and the beautiful things that come with being in a relationship with somebody that is imperfect as you are.
True.
When you get into when you're married, man, you learn everything about each other. It's not as external as it is. There's a lot of internal things.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to embrace those imperfections together, you're going to be in for a world of hurt.
100%.
The marriage is not for the meek.
Right. And people don't understand that you have to qualify. Okay. I don't understand why a lot of women just assume that, well, I'm going to be able to go and snap my fingers and, hey, I'm going to be able to get that guy. Well, here's the problem. When you fish out of the ocean, there's a lot of fish that you can catch. But when you start doing things like you start waiting until a later age to start having kids. So now you're 30, 28. So now you're 30 years old and having kids. Now those are at risk pregnancies. Okay. They become higher and higher risk. And then let's say you have a kid or two. So now you're 32, 33 years old. You got a kid or two kids from two different baby daddies. And both of these guys were obviously trash because you're not with them. And then, you have this other guy who's like, hey, he's up and coming. He's 40 years old and he's doing his thing. And you 30, 35, two different baby daddies. Why would he want you? You just assume that all of a sudden he wants you. Why? Just because what? Because you breathe and exist? That's crazy.
It's a lot of baggage, and they don't see that.
No, but they don't even see that as a risk. They think like, oh, well, why do you use that? Why do you use that as a metric against me? Here, I got a good job. I have a car. I have my own house. I pay my own bills. I pump my own gas. And it's like, holy shit, what do you, so do I. But I can find a 23-year-old you with no kids. So why would I want a 34-year-old you with two kids? And that's why a lot of women can't understand that. But
they're bringing in these kids, man. And what are you supposed to do? Right. Roll over?
And then they get mad because the only guys that are going to put up with them are trash men. Well, like I always say, if you don't want a trash guy, then stop picking in the trash for him. But
you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to look like the villain.
100%, right? I mean, and that's part of this whole problem is that, people look at it from a perspective of, and I've heard this. I don't know if you've heard this before, but I hear women say this a lot. When they got a good job or they have an education, they say, oh, well, men are intimidated by me. And I'm like, who the fuck is intimidated by you? What man?
When they say that, bro, they're expressing their distrust of men.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because to them, men leave, they disappoint, and they move on.
But that's
they're not having to earn.
I heard a guy, Tommy Sotomayor, I believe his last name is. He said this thing, and I believe that this is true. Now, he's part of the manosphere. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's in the manosphere, but he was saying that, look, when you seek relationships from a mindset of scarcity, you will never find a good mindset because you're always cleaning onto one thing and then moving it over and then cleaning onto another thing. And you're quick to disqualify everybody for everything, whether it's his shoes or whether he got, his teeth don't look right,
I'll break this down. For me, it's like, you ever met one of those I don't need a man type ladies and women and they finally meet somebody that you think is like, oh shit, she found someone good. Like hopefully this relationship flourishes and something works out. And then they end up pushing them away.
Oh yeah. Well, they disqualify him for something, some random
right.
Shit. Oh, he said something. He didn't put the seat down.
There's a pattern, bro. There's a pattern that's I don't know if it's maybe they're expecting to be abandoned by the 20 dudes that already abandoned her. So now she's like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there with this guy. So it's almost like a pattern that they're trying to avoid. They're trying. They don't want to engage in serious conversations, man.
We went to I went to my 30th high school reunion, and I'm frank in the way I speak, man. And some people understood that I already had like a whole podcast thing going on, and I started some stuff, and there was a lot of. Don't get me wrong, I love these people. These people are actually really cool ass people, but they're all single. And I was like telling them, I said, man, it's fucking desert out here, huh? And one of the girls goes, man, you don't even know it. And one of the other girls had said this thing like, well, I'm single by choice. I said, no, you're not. I said, you're single because nobody's looking for you. That's why you're single. She sat there and she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, look, she goes, I could have a man tomorrow. You know who's in my DMs? I said, yeah, everybody you don't want. That's who's in your DMs. Everybody you don't want, because the guy you want isn't looking for you. He's not looking for you.
Right.
So because of Mr. Right walked through the door and he fit all of your metrics. He hit the note on every metric. You would be with that man tomorrow. But because that man is not looking for you is why you're single, because he ain't looking for you. So you have to lower your standards. You have to level out in order to understand who you qualify for you, because you don't qualify for that guy anymore. You qualify for the guy that you're level with. And that's same for same, right? Like, you're not beautiful anymore. I mean, you
But
are. You expire.
you know, I've thought about that, what you're saying. And sometimes I wonder, you know, and I've known people that I, in my mind, I thought maybe their standards are just way too high, right?
Yeah.
But from knowing them for so many years, decades, they have no standards.
Fucking Jess.
There's no discipline. There's no boundaries. There's a distrust for men. And you begin to realize, damn, they're living in their own private Idaho, man. Like, they're living in their own private Idaho because they really don't have standards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're not prepared mentally, emotionally to get checked by another man.
But you know, here to me, like, I tried to explain this to one of the girls once, and I said, look, you know, here's the thing. When you were 22 years old, it was cute when you said, stop staring at me. What are you looking at? Right? I mean, that was cute. Like, a guy looked at you like, all right, you're a little bit cute. You can kind of get away with that. But you got to realize, when you 37, it's to a man, and you say exactly that. What are you looking at? Why are you looking at me? That's what a guy hears now. He's looking at you like, what the this troll is trying to catch a little hassle with me. And it's like, you trying to do it in a cute way. Like, you trying to be cute when you're no longer cute. And I understand our mind. Now, here's how I can make a comparison for men. We go back in the gym, ain't been in the gym for years. Go back in the gym and we think we're still 25. And then we realize real fast, like, oh my God, I am not 20.
Well, that's what's happening to me right now. You know?
Yeah.
I walked into Home Depot and one day, and I said, I'll knock that out.
Yeah.
I'll knock that out in 1 week. And then my back said, hell no, you're not.
You know, I used to have this client who used to say this thing all the time, and I used to laugh because when she was working out, she worked out really hard at the boxing gym. She worked out real hard. She would go, fucking shit, because it was so hard. That's how I was when I built a shed in my backyard. I was like, all right, I was tired, you know, blah, 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 but I pushed through, right? Like we do. And then here we are, you know, 5 years later, I got to tear it down because we're moving. So I got to tear it down. Man, that was the hardest tear down that I have ever been part of. I was like, I'm fucking tired, fucking shit. Man, I was so burnt out on that, but I digress. You know, going back to this thing, women nowadays just expect men to be chivalrous when they have that attitude of, who the fuck you think you're looking at? And it's like, well, that's what we see now. That's what young men in general see women as. Even pretty women, they see like, man, I don't know if she's just worth any of the fight, because women just expect men to just open a door for them, to run out and push their car when their car is out of gas. That's what they expect. Now, I'm going to prove that by this point. Check this video out.
To bring an umbrella, then complained that a male stranger would not give her his and tried to shame him online. The woman posted a video while standing outside a store party as rain fell around the crowd. In front of her, a man was holding an umbrella over himself while waiting in line. She pointed at his umbrella, made frustrated expressions toward the camera, and added the caption "man" in 2026, suggesting that she believed men today had stopped acting like gentlemen. Many viewers criticized her reaction, saying the man had simply prepared for the rain while she had forgotten to bring an umbrella. They argued that a stranger should not be publicly attacked just because he did not hand over something that belonged to him. However, others defended the woman. They pointed out that the man was wearing a hoodie and argued that he could have put the hood over his head and given the umbrella to her instead. Some said doing so would have shown traditional chivalry and basic kindness toward a woman standing in the rain. Some viewers said helping would have been polite, while others argued that kindness should be voluntary and should never become something strangers are automatically expected to provide. What do you think?
What do you think, man? Should he have been polite and given that woman? He had a hoodie, man. He could have, he's a man. He could stand in the rain. What do you think?
It's interesting how the dynamics change, all right? When you're getting soaked, when you're out there, what do you call it? Dealing with the elements, but when it comes to a divorce and 50-50 and all this, that's a whole different dynamic there, right?
Yeah.
It's just way too convenient. It's way too convenient, bro. Like, to me, I want to treat. I'm getting a weird echo, but
I don't hear it.
Respect. I mean, for me, respect is if you want to be treated like a lady, act like a lady. If you want to be treated like a gentleman, be a gentleman. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like the problem with relationships today, everybody has just an outward materialistic, maybe it's a hyper focus on just an outward appearance, right? And nobody, and for me it's like with anything, right? If you're gonna be a boxer, if you're gonna be in a team, or if you're gonna embrace a new discipline, whether it's MMA, if you're gonna go into business, if you're going to go into real estate, if you're planning on doing any type of investment, the one key thing is that you need to embrace the suck of that. You need to embrace the grind. And if you don't embrace the grind of whatever it is that you're trying to get involved with, and that just goes to relationships too, man. If you're not willing to embrace the grind of that relationship, that means that the minute something happens, the minute you have a disagreement, you're not going to have the tools to handle that and to fix that situation, and then you're just going to push that person away. Right. And I have people that I know that are just like that, and they're like that not just when it comes to their relationships, where they're like that when it comes to their profession, to their stability, their whole stability as a person. It's sad, man. I really feel like people need to learn how to overcome, the grind of everything that they do.
But what is the problem with the well, I shouldn't say what is the problem. Let me rephrase that question. Why is it that women feel that just off of rip, men are supposed to, because women are fighting during feminism. Women are fighting for equality. Equality, my man. That means that she gets the same exact treatment as everybody else. But she walks out into this weather and she expects an umbrella. She expects these things. Now, if a woman is getting harassed by a man,
yeah, of course,
then we're supposed to jump to that, right? Now, that is what is expected, right? But see, now men are looking at it differently because you fought so hard for equality, and now we are giving you the equality in which you fought so hard for. So when a man has to make a decision about whether or not he wants to intervene in perhaps a altercation between another man and a woman, they don't know the dynamics of it, because 40 years ago, you didn't have to know the dynamics of it. You just knew, hey, guy, calm down. Don't be saying things like that to her. Calm down, or take it to another place. That, you guys got to calm down. Nowadays, men are like, I don't even want to fucking get involved, for the simple reason is that I could get hurt. Now, that's what this next video is about. It's about this guy who tries to intervene, that this woman is being not harassed, but this woman is having an altercation with her man, and he steps in and intercedes and says, hey, maybe this shouldn't happen. Now look what happens to this man.
Here is why you should never help a woman who's getting beat up by a man. The black guy and the white girl are having the argument. The white guy steps in to protect the girl. Watch what happens. Watch what the girl does. She clocks him in the head with a brick, and then the guy clocks him in the head with a brick, and then he runs away. He saw a woman getting beat up. He stopped to help her. She clocked him in the head with a fucking brick.
That's what's happening now, man.
Looks like a setup.
You know, I saw, yeah, you know, I saw this video and I was just like, you know, what the hell is going on with this? Right? Like, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, but there's more stories like that than we acknowledge. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have some friends of mine that were police officers and they would tell me stories like, oh yeah, there's a domestic violence case where they go over and they go to this place and it turns out this guy's like beating up his wife. They jump in, pull, you know, they pull him off of her and now they're trying to hold him down. And yet she's attacking them because, you know, they're now holding down her man. And she's like, you know, all over them about it. And it's like, and then she winds up pressing charges on them for pushing her off of them while they're trying to hold this guy down that was on top of her, beating her. I mean, you're damned if you do, right? You're damned if you don't.
Yeah, that's a classic case of what is it, Stockholm syndrome, right? Where the victim, you know, feels bad for the perpetrator, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like if it was an old lady trying to cross the road or something like that, or a disabled individual, that's perfectly within your boundaries, right? It's common sense, right? But I feel like there's things that are nuanced, right? So sometimes it's better to err on the side of caution and be a little streetwise, man. You don't have to exercise chivalry in every situation. You know, and that umbrella situation is like, hey, you should have brought an umbrella. Sorry. You know, I'm not stepping into some unknown.
But
you know,
but this is the, you know, the equality, right? Like this guy's like, look, yeah, I have a hoodie. So what if I even have a rain jacket on? So what if I want to have an umbrella with my rain jacket? Why?
Right.
You know, you had more than the ample time and enough sense that you should have had an umbrella, but because you don't, look, the days of a guy putting his
you basically shit on this guy. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, you sit there and it's like, it's unfair to this guy because the enormous amount of self, you know, like a self-aggrandization of how women think today. You just owe me for me breathing. And it's like, holy shit. Now check this one out. This one I thought was hilarious. And let me bring this one up. Now, this woman is upset that men in a bus don't want to give up their seat for her. Check this out.
And look at all these men. What happened to giving up your seat for women? No man offered me a seat. Excuse me, are you going to get up?
What?
Are you going to get up?
Are you pregnant?
No.
Are you for equality?
Yes.
Then fuck off.
I love that, man. Are you for equality? Yeah, then fuck off. Right? This is what you're fighting for, and this is what you're getting. And that's, I think those are the problems in which we work under. And women try to say, hey, you know what? We are, you know, we want equality. We want it. We fought for it. We want it. We deserve it. But now that they're getting it, now all of a sudden, oh, that guy's an asshole. Well, wait a minute. That guy's not interested in you. So he doesn't have to give the extra effort. So not all men are going to lay their jacket down so you can walk over a puddle. Fuck your shoes.
There's too many J Caddy women out there that are just, they're feral, man.
It's really bad.
They're straight up feral, bro. Like they're just feral, and it's just, you got to be able to have a little, you know, common sense. You know, you got to be able to read the room or read your environment and know where you're at. You know.
I want to say this. You know, I this next clip that I'm going to bring up, and Sharon, I am not talking about you when I talk about this next clip, because Sharon is a coworker or an ex-coworker of mine, and let me tell you something. This woman works her ass off. I mean, we worked in the same field together, And I know this girl can put it out. She definitely puts out the work. She's the exception to the rule, okay? So women fought to work in male spaces because they want to, equal pay. We've heard of that, right? The equality. In order to be equal, you have to be able to do the same work, get the same pay, right? I think we all agree. I think we all agree on that. But there's a lot of women that want to work in male spaces that don't do the job but want the same pay. They want the equal rights, but they don't want to do any of the work in order to get that equality. So here's this, and I saw this and I said, man, I got to keep this one. Now, this is about a woman working in male spaces. Here we go.
Shit, I would have crashed out. If I was him, I would have just crashed out.
Yeah, see, I can't pick this back up. I think I made a mistake.
Bro, she not doing nothing.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, this probably ain't the job for you, man. So this probably ain't the job for you. Yeah. Dang, I'm finna do all the motherfucking work.
Look at her picking up little shit.
Bags up. Bitch, I'm not finna do all the work out this bitch. Well,
she ain't even pick up nothing.
Hold on, watch it. Damn.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You didn't do it right.
You see, and I know, with the exception of present company, Sharon, there was a lot of people that I used to work with, females that I would work with, and they would ask me to do the heavier lifting for them. And I would tell them, look, if you can't pick up that bag of trash, then put it in 2 different bags. And they would look at me and, they'd get upset with me. And I'm like, look, well, then you got to break that down, because I'm not carrying all of this that I got to carry. Plus, I'm going to carry yours too. And yet we making the same amount of money. I don't play that game. Break it down. If you can't lift 100 pounds, then put it in, 5 20-pound bags, or break it down even further to whatever you can carry. But that's the equality in which we work under. But again, the audacity to think that everyone around you has to be subservient to you just because you're a woman. It's ridiculous. Now, that's what we've maturated to, right? Because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I wouldn't even have thought that way. But because everybody wants equality, and that's all that's been beat into my head, and young men and men today, that's all that's been beat in their head for all these years, 40 years.
And when you say something, you're looked at like a pariah, man. Like you're looked at like wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? For me, it's one of those things. It's like, especially like in law enforcement or corrections, you see that too. And I'm just gonna say this. I've seen a lot of situations where, the female got destroyed by a prisoner.
Yeah.
Destroyed. Pulled into a cell and got beat up for about 20 minutes.
Right.
Until staff arrived. There's things that I've had situations, man, and throughout the years where I've had to step in and say, this is not a good idea.
Right.
This is not a good idea. And administration would say, no, Garcia, no, this is what's on paper. This is what's written in black and white. This is policy now, where, it's a new era. You need to just get with the times. And you end up with, fractures and broken bones that could have been avoided.
Right.
But, it's one of those things where it's like, I tried to play things safe and keep people out of harm's way, and they prefer to get people hurt.
Right. I mean, because you almost feel obligated to make, and this is what they were talking about women in the military when they were saying that men feel obligated to protect them because that's kind of an instinct that we have within us biologically. But then some of the military people were saying, well, why are we putting women in such a difficult situation? For the simple reason is that they may not be able to handle it physically. So because you have that, it puts men at risk. And there's other men, and here's kind of a thing. There's this guy that I don't know if you follow, but I follow this guy because some of the things he says, some of the things that comes out of this guy's mouth, I sit there and he gives no accountability for women for choices and so forth, but he speaks in such a way that attracts women to him because he talks about not having any responsibility for decisions, not having any, he puts all the blame on men. And this guy says the most asinine things. And I find it I find it funny because he talks about this stuff in such a way that makes it difficult for men to overcome these things, because all he does is clap for women but doesn't talk about the responsibility of the choices in which women make. So this guy's named Chris Perry, I believe his name is. Let me bring this thing up. Now this is the one where he says about, well, I'll leave it up to him to explain it to you. Go ahead. Let's see.
Do you know what kind of woman scares men the most today? Not the rich one, not the pretty one, not the loud one. It's the woman who was broken, faced everything alone, and rebuilt herself without needing anyone at all. She's felt silence. She's felt loneliness. She's felt pain deeply and still found a way to stand on her own again. And most importantly, she learned how to live without depending on anyone else for her happiness. Because when a woman becomes comfortable being alone, she becomes hard to control and almost impossible to manipulate. She doesn't accept crumbs anymore. She doesn't accept being someone's backup plan. And she definitely doesn't accept half-hearted love. She's cried alone, struggled alone, and healed alone. So now she's no longer afraid of losing anyone. She knows her worth, she knows her value, and she knows exactly what she brings into someone's life. She stops chasing, she stops settling, she stops explaining herself to people committed to misunderstanding her. She doesn't need validation anymore. Because once a woman proves to herself that she could survive her absolute darkest moments, the threat of your absence completely loses its power.
Yeah, that's a promotion of being alone for the rest of your life.
That's taking simping to a whole new level, man. He says he's basically letting the world know I'm such a simp. I'm gonna start my own podcast.
Yeah,
on simping, you know, like I'm gonna be a people pleaser now, and I'm gonna over pursue women, and I'm gonna seek validation just by talking nonsense and making men look bad or whatever. But that dude's a classic simp.
He basically says, oh yeah, a man who can't handle her. Well, no man wants to handle a woman. No man, like when women say this thing, well, you can't handle me. Well, I'm not trying to handle you. I just want to be at peace. Now, if you're going to be this hard rock that I got to rub up against, I would rather not rub up against a rock. Now, if I have hands, right? No woman wants to grab a hand that feels like grabbing a cactus, okay? I'm not saying that you should go moisturize, but that woman needs to understand that that is your hands. Now, men don't want to be with their identical twin, right? No man wants to be in an argument with another man. So if you're that hard and you're that, callous to the world, well, I want something soft. As a man, because I have to walk out into the world and be callous. But
I had this when I met my wife, right? I kind of had this idea that I was never going to get married. I was going to stay single, and it's weird because I'm married now, but I kind of always had this thing in my head where it's like, she laughs at my jokes and I just tell the worst jokes.
She loves
she has to be it, because I'm so dark. I'm such a dark person, and she just cracks these smiles where it's like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's the only one. You know, everybody has an audience, right? But you know, I feel like people over glamorize you know, what it's like to be married.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not for the meek. It's not for the meek. It's oh man, it's just I don't know. You know, I don't know. I think successful marriages come when two people are not constantly seeking validation from outside sources.
Oh, 100%.
You know? And you see these people like, oh, it's got to be 50-50. It's got to be, you know, he's got to do 50-50. But I feel like out of all the decades that I've been married, she picked up the slack, man. When I was going through it,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
When I was only giving 10% in that relationship, she said, "I got you." You know, I'm gonna soldier up. I got you. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And then when she needed me, and she was only giving 20-30%. I picked up the slack. So I feel like a good relationship, a healthy relationship, is 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
You're both committed.
I always say this. Now, I always ask this question, and I would ask the audience the question also, which is, what's most important? Whose happiness is most important in a relationship? And I'll be honest with you, when I worked at a school district, the women in the office, I swear to you, all the women in the office said, well, my happiness is most most important in a relationship, because if I'm not happy, the relationship's not going to be good. And I said, well, see, that's the most selfish thing I've ever heard. You see, because the only way you're going to have a great relationship is that if you're selfless. Look, in my relationship, my wife's happiness and my children's happiness goes before mine. Mine is last. Now, my wife feels the same way about me, because, see, I'm not in charge of her happiness about things. But I'm concerned with her happiness and not concerned with my own. And because we have that dynamic, like what you said, which is she gives 100%, I give 100%. And what she is good at, she does. What I'm good at is what I do. Now she yields to me and I yield to her, because I'm not great at everything. I'm really good at the things I'm good at, but I'm not really good at other things that I'm not good at. So
right.
We have that push pull kind of mentality toward one another. But see, this is the guy, like I said, this is the simping 1000. Now
He's super simp, dude. He's a super simp.
The music in the background is just like, I mean, oh my God, I sit there and I'm just like, here, let me bring it out for you.
Exactly. It's
man, I mean, we can't have that, but this
no
guy,
boundaries, bro. No boundaries.
He is so convincing. Like, I'm fascinated with this guy. I watch this guy. I'm going to bring you this next video because the shit he says is so asinine and people eat it up so much. It's amazing. Check this guy out.
You have to be very, very careful with people who have lost parents, siblings, or children. And let me explain exactly why that is. When someone experiences that level of loss, it changes how they see everything. Things that used to matter suddenly don't. They have less patience for fake energy, meaningless relationships, or anything that destroys their peace. Because losing someone that's close doesn't just shatter your heart. It changes parts of who you are. Some storms don't just break branches. They change the way the tree grows forever. They move differently. They love differently. And even behind their biggest smiles, there's a weight most people will never understand. Life moves forward, but grief doesn't simply disappear with time. You just learn how to carry it. That's why they value real connections differently. They know firsthand that someone you love can be here today and gone tomorrow. So when they protect their peace, their energy, and the people they love, understand where it comes from, because they've already experienced what it feels like to lose someone they thought they'd have forever.
Who the fuck is this guy talking about?
The Marine in me was saying, "Who's this candy ass?" You know, yeah.
Will never experience what? Losing a parent, losing a sibling, losing a child. Name me a person on earth who was born who has never experienced that. Who is this guy talking about? And he's like, see, you'll never understand that. And I mean, and I listen to this guy and I'm like, I see why he's got 100 and some thousand followers, because he talks such nonsense about how he's
Well, it reminds me, right? It reminds me of the a lot of these conversations that we used to have to monitor conversations with the state whenever a lot of the prisoners would have to make phone calls. And these women are like, "Oh, you're so poetic. You're so this. You're so that. You're so this. You're so that." And then, we'd have conversation afterwards and we'd be like, "Well, yeah, dude, they're sitting there 24 hours a day staring at the wall, piecing together all these poems and everything like that. They got nothing better to do besides killing people on the outside and then sitting in their cell when they get arrested."
Right?
And they become poets. For me, it's like that's what this guy comes off as, like someone who just
right, the finesse.
Yeah. It's like, golly, dude, this guy is really, really
I guess
polishing a turd.
Like what you were, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this firsthand, where you got these people that have done the most heinous crimes outside, yet they got people following them inside. They got multiple girls that are after them and so forth, because they finesse so well. It's crazy, right? But that's, I don't know, man. I know that you've seen way more of that. Like for me, because I was a steward for so many years. I was a union steward for so many years. All I ever saw was people that would not take responsibility for some of the things they did. And they would do some really ratchet kind of shit. And you're just like, man, I don't even understand how you got there. But everything was, they would talk and they would spit this, I don't even know how to explain it, but they would be like this onslaught, a tsunami of constant bullshit, that wave after wave. And I would sit there and, like one of those boats, I would just clear right through it and go, yeah, so you did it and we need to fix it. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right, Big John. You're right. And I'm just like, look, I'm going to clear all the bullshit that you're saying. I went right through it. I got to the end. There it is. But they would just tsunami of just constant bullshit. But those are the things that, I want to get your last opinion on this. A guy like that, gaslighting women, what, because think about that. How do we talk women off the edge of listening to that kind of bullshit? How do we fix that? We're men. We see a man talking like that. What do you think?
Well, it's hard because when I listen to a man like that, I feel like he's constantly seeking validation.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So you see an empty soul, an empty person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see. I see an empty person. And when you have individuals who've been through a lot, experienced a lot, seen a lot of things, and witnessed a lot of things, we know that the most important thing is to not seek validation through other people, man, because they're gonna just destroy you.
Right.
They're gonna destroy you, and you need to, as a man, you need to understand. You need to really do some soul searching, man. Sometimes if that's what it takes, that's what it takes, right? Is it important for me to overreact to this situation, or do I need to check myself and pump my own brakes and be like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something about individuals that are constantly trying to please everybody. You know what I'm saying? Please everybody, make it. I feel like those are the kind of people that you never can trust.
But don't you see it contradictory to what he was saying, because earlier when he talked about a woman who's gone through the Reich of things, who's gone through the gauntlet, she doesn't seek validation. But yet this guy is throwing out nothing but validation.
Yeah, because he doesn't have boundaries.
So it's like, that's what we call bam.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Right. You don't got no boundaries, bro. Like you just say whatever you're gonna say, whatever you want to. It's like you got no boundaries. You don't have no self-respect.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Simp. I like
Simp.
that, man.
He's a simp. He's a super simp.
Now here's this last thing, and I know we're at 2 hours, man. Here's this last thing. I'm sure, I think that we have talked about this. The Sophie Cunningham situation, the WNBA, this whole thing of transgender athletes, and the commission, the WNBA, I was going to say NWA. They had a meeting to talk about what a woman is. And now the commissioner has come out. The commissioner of the WNBA has come out and said this. I want to know what you think about this. Here we go.
I am not a biologist. How can I be expected to define what a woman is? If you think you know how to tell the difference between a man and woman, please speak up.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
That seems simple, but what do you think, man? I mean, she's not a biologist, man.
She's hiding.
How do we?
She's just hiding, bro. She's just hiding. She doesn't want to call it for what it is. And that's the problem. There's no leadership, man. There's no leadership. And when you have a person who's supposed to be in a leadership position, go out and just say, you know what, I'm a coward, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm not a biologist, and I'm not this and I'm not that, and just kick the can down the road. Yeah. Well, you didn't do nothing. All you did was magnify a situation that was getting ready to blow up, and now you're just adding fuel to it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they had a meeting, man. They had a meeting of the minds, and they all came in there, and they had a meeting about this, and they spent a few hours in there in this meeting, and they all came out and said, well, we didn't finish the discussion.
I don't know, man. They should change it to the Marimacha. What do you call it? WNBA. I don't know. The Women's Marimacha Basketball Association, because that's what it's turning into.
Yeah,
exactly what it's turning into. You know?
Yeah. But what do we do? I mean, is there anything we can do about that, man? I mean, how do we?
You know what? I don't watch the WNBA. It's not even that. It's not even exciting. What? So if it tanks, bro, I'm gonna be like, hey, what are we having for breakfast today? You know?
Come on, man.
Hey, if you want, I'll be open about it. I don't even care about it. So it's like the only time I watch the WNBA is when it comes out on the news and they're talking about transgenders playing in the league. Oh, you know,
you don't follow. You know, what's her name? Caitlin Clark. You don't. Follow
Yeah. You know, I've been watching her get beat up on the court. You know, and get pummeled and all that, because you know they don't want to see they don't want to see her succeed. You know,
that is tough, right? I mean, because it does. I don't know, man. I mean, it feels that way, right? Like it just feels like
she's getting bullied.
Yeah, like we're doing something
wrong.
Yeah, like it's almost, I don't know, man. Like there's an agenda against her because they call her white, privileged. I don't even understand, but yet this chick is balling, breaking records, doing stuff in the WNBA that has not been done in the 30 years of the WNBA, and she's doing it in her first 3 years. And
well, she's breaking the what do you call it? The stereotype, right?
Yes.
She's being stereotyped. She's kind of the Larry Bird of the females, maybe, if that's what you want to call it. You know, she's a stud, man. You know, she's out there, she's doing her thing, and she's performing, and she's receiving a lot of hate. That's just part of the package when you're a leader. When you're a leader and you're stepping out there and you're doing stuff, people are just gonna rough you up, man.
Do you think? Yeah, I mean, and man, I'll be honest with you. Like, I look at that and I'm just kind of like, holy, I don't understand it. I don't
It's
get it.
sad. It's sad how the I guess was that the commissioner. It's
Yes.
sad how sad how has the commissioner come out and said, hey, you know what, leave her alone.
No, not publicly. No. I mean, I hear a bunch of stories like, the NBA commissioner has come out and said, hey, you kind of gotta, he went out, had a call to her, but they didn't reveal anything that was in that call. But I guess it was about the state of the WNBA. Like, look, here's an opportunity for you to, you know, uh, get on the coattails of the Golden Goose, ride it like the NBA did Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, right? Like they did
Well,
Michael Jordan.
What it is too is corporations and politics getting involved with sports, man. And if you look at like AOC, right? She recently said in an interview that woke one was a for lack of a better word was a mistake, right? Was a mistake. And look at what's going on in the Democratic Party, right? You got your Democratic Socialists overtaking the party, right? Now that's what happens, right? That's what happens when you don't take a stand, man. And you're not willing to part the sea, bro. Yeah. I think a good leader is willing to say, "No, you're wrong, you're right. Shut up, and this is how it's going to go down." Because then you begin to build your organization. You begin to build your organization. What she's doing is she's working on woke one right now. She's working on woke one right now, and that could be very detrimental to the WNBA. It could backfire bad, bro.
Well, I agree with you for the simple reason is the WNBA has been in existence for 30 years and has never turned a profit.
30 years, dude. I feel like it's only been around for 2, maybe 3 years.
Come on, man. I followed the WNBA in its infancy when they had, and I can name you players, Lisa Leslie, Dawn Staley, Cynthia Cooper, Thompson, Rebecca Lobo. I mean, I can tell you a lot of people, but I lost interest a few years into it and then just never cared. And then, even though they had the rise and fall of people like Sue Bird and Tarazi and so forth, I still never really watched them. I heard of them, but I just never really watched them.
Okay, so you're a person that's been following it and you're losing interest. Look at myself. I'm somebody who would have probably on any given day of the week tuned in and said, "Oh man, this is pretty cool," right? Yeah. But now I don't even want to watch it.
Yeah.
So now you got one person who's losing interest, and then you got one person who don't even want to visit it.
Bro, I agree with you. And here's the thing. You're talking to a guy like I just rediscovered the Dodgers. Okay.
Right.
And I know you're a fan, but bro, I was all like, wow, they won back-to-back World Series. Wow, that's pretty good.
And they're hated. They're hated.
I posted like, wow, these Dodger guys are pretty good. You're talking to a guy who I ran into. There was an event at one of the schools we had with and I did not know who these people were, but it was a soccer event that was combined with AYSO.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought was La Galaxy.
Okay.
I didn't know who these people were. And I was like, La Galaxy. I don't, who the hell is La Galaxy? I was like, are you guys like the Fusion, which is a
LA Galaxy, yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, I didn't know who they were. I thought they were like a semi-pro team or so. I wasn't sure. And I didn't realize who I was talking to. Okay. Now I'm embarrassed about it now, but I was talking to one of the guys. I don't know who remember his name, but it was something Lawless and Kobe something.
Mm.
I'm talking to these two guys and I don't know who they are. And I thought it was La Galaxy. I didn't know it was the LA Galaxy. And he looks at me and he goes, "Do you know who we are?" And I said, "Yeah, you're La Galaxy," because they had this big thing that said La Galaxy. And he says, "No, we're the Los Angeles Galaxy." And I was like, "Los Angeles? Like the city of Los Angeles?" I go, "They have a team?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Damn, the last professional team I remember was the Laser."
Right.
Angeles Laser. And he goes, "Dude, indoor soccer." And I said, "Look, I didn't know, bro. Okay, I didn't know. But I'm talking to apparently these two guys that were like really awesome players. I didn't even know." You know, so
Yeah.
I know people may not understand or may not follow the WNBA, but the things that they're doing to the Golden Goose is so detrimental, because what if she packs up and leaves? It's done. It's done. If they hurt
Yeah.
that, it's
I
done.
know Stephen A. Smith talked about that whole thing.
Yeah.
Kind
Crazy.
of.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, we are at the death
All right,
hour
brother.
with me. And if you could please let everybody know where they could find you and see you. Let them know.
Check me out. My name's Jess from the Unpack Mindset. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And I'm posting just once a week. Yeah, hopefully here in the next couple weeks, I'll be giving you guys some more content throughout the week. I normally love to do daily posts, but I'm doing some home renovations. So yeah, man, I do my own stuff. I'm my own team here. So I like talking about social issues, crime, and sprinkle in a little politics. But hit me up, man. I'd love to have you guys tune into my channel. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you very much for coming on with us. As always, do us a favor. Follow Jess, the Unpack Mindset. Follow him. Let him know, and do us a favor. Also follow us on the Instagram and also on YouTube. Next week, I have a special guest on. We are going to have an author on by the name of Jennifer Aaron, who has wrote this book called Villain Syndrome. Now, Villain Syndrome, you can find this on Amazon. She is going to be on next week, and this is going to be a really interesting conversation. Let me tell you something. There's some things going on there. I look at it, and it's a very interesting read. I highly encourage it. I encourage you to go and read this book. Jennifer is going to be on, and I'm happy to have her on. Thanks again for watching. I know we went a little bit long today, but let me tell you something. There were some interesting conversations. I appreciate Jess for coming on and putting up with my shenanigans on here. And much like he said, we think alike, because that's what Str8out University is, right? No matter what, always think about it this way. Everybody is entitled to my opinion, and that's why I freely give it. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you up and see you next time. Take care.
Everything must change.
Yeah, Str8out University, the syllabus begins. Check the complex method that separates the men from the kids. We building with 4 pillars. Study the architecture, the lessons in the verses, not just the lecture. See the mind for the money, the muscle is the proof. That global frame is wisdom from the concrete to the roof. And the game is pure knowledge that defines your every action. A strategic satisfaction for a chemical reaction. It's a blueprint for power, not just a simple acquisition. The formula for greatness, a scholarly position. Str8out University, yeah, the lessons in session. Str8out University.